Hello everybody, and a warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Zabi, and we're live with another round of New Age F1 Championship. We're here at round 7 of Season 6 for the Mexico City Grand Prix, as we're getting ready for 18 minutes of qualifying. But just before we get started, we're missing a couple of drivers here, and unfortunately, because of some incidents around in their lives. Just before we get started and get out in with cars in qualifying, there's just a bit of a message for them, and we'll play it on the screen, and then we'll be back with it once more. Just a bit of a moment for them. Yep, there we go then. Now let's get on and we'll get out on the track. I've actually got one issue here, that my feed of my mic and PlayStation audio is far away from one another, so it might be up and down, but I'd hope that they're still in better places, so that could help us. But let's go now. Let's get out on the track and get on with everything out there as we're here around Mexico. It's a never-ending main straight, which becomes a headache throughout the whole race, especially if you've got the car in front of you, behind you, with DRS, and with all of that to follow and look at. Get things on. Meanwhile, we have 12 drivers in the session so far. It is special. That is Oliver in the RB, that's sugar-free Red Bull. Then it is Ian, who's in P in the other RB. Meanwhile, Midu in the Red Bull should be the very first driver to begin a flying lap here. And indeed, Midu will be the very first driver who will begin their first flying lap right here. It is 12 of these drivers, and out of 12, Midu's going to be the driver number 1 who starts their flying lap right here at Mexico. The rear wing for open with the help of that DRS that's gone in 2026, but we'll enjoy it while it's there with the overtake button on as well. Into turn 1, brake later on the brakes as late as you can get into, and then the right hand left-hander into right once more in 3rd gear the whole section, back on power once more into 7th and should be 8th as well. Bit of a help from the overtake button, but back on braking once more, get it into the left-hander, into 3rd, now into 2nd, just moving through this weird part of the circuit, which actually should not even exist in one way or the other, or maybe just simply be a straight, simple straight, which is a very difficult part around here, Mexico especially. Now in through the S section we go. This is pretty tricky. It's almost flat out around here, but especially during the race, if you've got not much grip, if you've not got rear tires, or if you have high tire temperatures, you could slip out a lot and very easily. You could lose the rear end of your car. Meanwhile, one of the Mercedes is behind the Red Bull of Midu, but he's on an out lap, not on a flying lap, while Midu will go over to the finish line. 1:16.4 is going to be the benchmark time for everyone to beat. But has he done it though? Has he done it? Is it going to be enough? Well, it's going to be Oliver, the next driver over the line. Will he beat that up? No, he won't. 17.1. And then we've got the 2 Ferrari drivers of Romero and Dees. And it is going to be Dees, the next driver to come over the line now, just making their way around the final corner. They've got a McLaren behind them, but that's going to be starting their flying lap, while Dees goes up to P2, 1:16.9. And so far, by the looks of it, the the Red Bull of Midu looks to be the fastest, as we can see another Ferrari of Romero go over the line with a time of 1:17.5 as well. What about Evil? That's going to be, how good does Michael do? He's going to be not in the pit lane. He's not closer to that finish line, while a lot of other drivers are now going to be there, and it's going to be the teammate of Midu, Devin, over the line. He doesn't seem to be close enough as well. Over a second down on his teammate, 17.5. as we will be now looking for drivers and somebody to finish their flying lap. While it's going to be most of them just starting theirs, but it's going to be Ryan in the other Mercedes to go over to the finish line. 1:17.3. I said other Mercedes because Tyron is coming up as well. Remember, Tyron, your championship leader. We haven't got the championship standings right here. Apologies about that, but it's definitely going to be exciting to see what he can do, or anybody else around here can do. It is going to be Michael over to the finish line in the McLaren. It goes up to pole, and he goes fastest of them all. And I think Tyron will be the next driver to beat that time. And yes, he does beat that time. Nice and easy does it. Tyron goes up to pole position, fastest of them all. 1:15.435. Only for a moment did Evil have that pole position. 15.917, but that's not enough, and everybody knew that was not going to be enough. At Tyron's challenge right behind, that was going to be very difficult for them to keep up with, and eventually they have been beaten out there. Well, is it going to be Devin? Is Devin going to head into the pits? Yes, no, in fact, they're not going to head into the pits, but they'd rather took a prep lap to have themselves another chance and go again. One of the Ferraris is tumbling down while Ian goes up to P6, and just behind their teammate, 2/10 behind their teammate right now, while Ryan in the other Mercedes is going to decide to come into the pits as well. While it was Dees who was either spun round, lost the car, or was simply letting other cars behind him get past, while Evil is closer to that finish line. But I'd assume they're going to come into the pits. Yes, they will. They will and have decided to do that. Meanwhile, Tyron is going to be possibly coming into the pits as well. I think pretty much Tyron, you don't really expect him even to go over the line or do another lap after, especially, you know, after he's done a brilliant job and got his car on pole. So he's pretty much not gonna think about, you know, putting it on pole or setting up the fastest time. At least he's gonna come out on later on. That's definitely for sure. I mean, usually he takes pole by a long margin. At the moment, he's still got it though, almost by 4 or 5 tenths. But let's see where this is all gonna take us right here. Meanwhile, there's a couple of other drivers over on out laps, and it's going to be special, but Ian now coming into the pits. So most of the grid is in the pits, and some of them are currently on their out laps, while the Ferrari of these is 2/10 down in that middle sector, and we know by their chance of whether to do they go and finish the lap, that's going to be maybe they have a chance of improving. Do they have a chance? Yes, they do. They just improved by half a tenth, nearly half a tenth. It was almost 4 hundredths of a second. They found an improvement by. It's going to help them pull away from the driver behind, but nowhere near closer to the driver in front. All right, then we're getting information from our live steward who's on the race and on their way to give us the live feed, which we have had the last couple of races. Unfortunately, we missed out on last week, I believe, but eventually right now, right here we are. It is going to be potential impeding from Connabel has been noted by our race steward. There could be a penalty coming up for them. We will let you guys know if there is any, though, as it is a potential penalty, so it's not a complete penalty. While Brenda goes up to P10, slowest of them all. Where does Connabel go? And they're going to be slowest as well, right there as it stands, while we are right on the cusp of I think I'm hoping that round 8 maybe. Yes, it might be round 8 actually, so apologies about that. So we'll pretty much maybe edit that later on, because it was round 6 previously in Qatar, and then we missed out on the previous week, so it's not round 6 but round 7, but round 8 indeed here in Mexico, while we missed out on Shanghai, as now there's going to be drivers who are going to look out to be on pole all flying laps. In fact, it's going to be Connabel who's going to be Killer is on a outlap at the moment, while the Ferrari of Numero is going to be on a outlap as well. While it's Brando, who's a driver on the flying lap. We could at least see he's on a flying lap, but he's definitely not improving, at least as it stands in the middle sector. Meanwhile, Connibal is going to be in it, and that Haas, as he nearly goes absolutely wide, almost getting closer to that finish, to not that finish line, but that that line would have finished their qualifying, though, if they made contact with that. So in terms of that, there was a finish line, but yeah, basically getting closer to the wall right there. Meanwhile, Tyron, who I would have thought isn't really going to come out again on the track, is out on the track and an outlap. It's 7 minutes to go. He thinks that maybe somebody behind could be a big threat, especially Evil, who would possibly go again and maybe finds a bit of a few tens on his time. Meanwhile, Ryan in the other Mercedes would be looking to get closer to his teammate, and he surely does get closer to his teammate. 1:16.4, still far away from his teammate or the front row, but still on to P3, and that third place is going to be mixing cars up. 3 drivers in the 1:16s and 2 in 16.4s. 4.29 from Medio and 4.10 from Ryan there, which obviously is going to be getting these guys closer, but then also have a chance for them to get closer. Meanwhile, Romero went over the line and they go faster than their teammate. Tees only could find about half a tenth on their previous lap, and Romero has went faster than these by only 0.02 of a second, and look at that. The gap between the two teammates is absolutely very close. Meanwhile, the Alpine is right behind the Ferrari now. How was there an impeding? What did he impede him there, though? While Killer looks pretty slow, or is he slow enough, though? Because he's using all that overtake button. He's used more than half his battery, but he's improving. Obviously, his previous lap was not good enough at all, so he needs to improve so far as it stands. But let's see how fast and how good of a time he'll find over to the finish line. While Dees is going to be the next car over the line, but he's going to be starting his lap rather than finishing it, so we're not going to be looking at them. While the Red Bull of Devon is there, but he's also on a on an invalidated lap. Meanwhile, another car, and that's the Mercedes of Tyron, and he's invalidated, and I certainly believe that he's done that to simply skip corners and cut corners, and he'd go again unless he decides to come to the pits, and he does decide to come into the pits. That means this possibly would have been a faster flying lap, but it wouldn't be enough from them, at least this time. Alright, so impeding from Connibal, no further investigation, but impeding from Romero has been noted. As I said, the Ferrari almost, did impede the Alpine right behind them, so impeding from Romero has been noted, and what a lap from Dees there. Meanwhile, his teammate in the news for wrong reasons of an impeding, but Dees goes up to the front row, and another driver that gets into the 115s, and by the standard of Tyron, we might see him get into the 114s. Never know, though. You never know, but maybe he's going to say that, okay, it's time for me to get into the 114s if I can. He's a 115.4, so if he's got just enough time, he might just, or just not, do that. But let's have a look at this then. I think a couple of drivers who are on the flying lap. It's currently Connibal, but I wonder if he's on a flying lap. We'll only know about that when he gets to the end of it. And yep, he's currently second slowest time because Killer hasn't got a good lap in this lap. It might not be the best of laps from Killer, but still, it'll be enough to beat that 121.7. You never know. Maybe Connibal stays second slowest driver here and not the slowest. Well, they're going to go over to the finish line. How much of an improvement do they find? 2.4 seconds on their time. 119.3. Still need quite a bit of it, but that's all they can find, at least for right now. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Midu is on an out lap right here. Who do we find on a flying lap? Is it Dees? No, he is not going to be, at least on a flying lap right now. It depends whether he now decides to do another lap or come into the pits. By the looks of it, he might come into the pits because it's... Oh no, if he does not, I would have thought on the exit of the final corner he's going to be very slow. Would have thought that he's going to come into the pits, but he rather is not doing that. Meanwhile, the two Mercedes are there, and Ryan maybe will be getting that tow from Tyron on purpose, because look at that slipstream and tow from the driver and car in front. Meanwhile, Tyron will be on his own lap, but he'll be providing that tow to Ryan, so this could be these two drivers while Tyron gets out of the way, and now you know what it was. And he got that tow from his teammate, and it's that slipstream. How much does he gain by? How much time is he going to gain at the end of that first sector? We've got to watch out for. He's got a tow from his teammate. If that's going to put him in the 115s, 2.95, almost 3/10 from that tow at least. So far, you could say so, but Dees is there, and now Dees is right here, but Dees is going to get out of the way. Nicely done from the Ferrari driver there to get out of the way. He might have been on a flyer, but just realizing that the Ferrari Mercedes behind is on a quick lap as well, so he had to get out of the way. But is that going to be enough, though? Will that help Ryan get to third place? Will that help him be the first driver in the second row, as they're currently on? While many drivers are on their flying faster laps right now. Tyron's out on the track, but he must be out just to help his teammate right there, while he now himself is out on brand new tires as well, so maybe he's going to continue and go again. Yes, he will do that, while Ryan over to the finish line does improve by 1.1 tenths. But that's definitely not going to be enough of what he needs and how much he needs the time to get to third place. Despite attempts and tries from them to get faster. Meanwhile, Oliver is going to attempt to get faster, and he does get faster there. Improves by quite a bit and goes up to P6. 116.525 is going to be the time from Special to do so far. I mean, looking at the current grid so far, it looks with Tyron on pole, Evil MP2, nobody else closer to these guys, apart from Dees, who's done 115.962. A lot of drivers. Is it going to be Midu over the line? Yes, he does go over the line. No, in fact, he's not went over the line, and his lap was invalidated. So he's going to come into the pits. Meanwhile, his teammate Devon has jumped up quite a bit and went up to P6 with a 116.506, and he's went straight in the wall. And I'd assume that was an attempt to retire out of the session, but that might have been a very poor attempt. He didn't really get out or crash this car. He might have been trying to crash out. And there we go. Whoever comes over the line now will be taking the checkered flag. Romero in the Ferrari does, along with all the guys at the top. Who's going to be the next car that we foresee improve? Are they going to be finding an improvement? Meanwhile, Killer's not. What about Special? They're going to be coming into the pits as well. So with only 12 drivers in here, qualifying seems to come to an end. While Tyron on pole, Evil in P2, followed by Dees in P3. Ryan could help make Mercedes a top 4 with both cars in the top 4. Midu in P5. Devon in P6 with Special in P7. Followed by Brendo in P8. And then it's Romero who's taking the checkered flag in P9 with Ian in P10. While Conneville has taken the checkered flag. Killer is into the pits. The only driver now out on the track along with Brendo is Ian. But Ian's invalidated his lap as well. So he's going to come into the pits. Every single driver that we've looked out in these ending laps have invalidated their lap. They could not find a lap good enough that would help them get better, that would help them improve. Certainly on their time, unfortunately, wasn't to be. And now we're going to be coming to an end of this qualifying session, while Dees is currently roaming around the track. But the qualifying session is over with the checkered flag being taken by most of the drivers there. So we should be getting to an end of this qualifying session now. Well, brilliantly done by all of these drivers so far. They've got the job done. They have got what they need. It's a huge straight as well, so it'll depend on strategy. You know what they want, especially the tires are gonna be heating up around here a lot. So these are going to be your qualifying results, ladies and gentlemen. Caught Tyrone on pole ahead of Evil in P2, followed by Deez in the Ferrari in P3, with Ryan in P4, followed by the two Red Bulls of Midu and Devon in P5 and 6. With Special in P7, then comes Brendo and Romero and Ian in completing the top 10 in P8, 9, and 10, with the two outside the top 10 are Killer and Connabel, the two drivers and the two slowest of the session. Connabel tried all he could, but he could not get closer to anywhere near one of these drivers. But that's going to be the end then, ladies and gentlemen. Now we should be moving over to the race. It should be 36 laps, I believe, around here, around Mexico. And the racing should be nothing but all sorts of fun for us to enjoy and have the fun we are ready to have. Tyrone is on pole, but Evil and Deez have put up a decent time to be close enough to him. So maybe, just maybe, we might have our battle for the win right here as well. Alright, so we've got an update from our stewards as well on impeding from Romero. Romero's lap time deleted for impeding Killer, and that means Romero should be starting from the back of the grid while their lap time is deleted. They're still starting in Okay, they're starting in P9. Okay, this message is old though, so maybe, just maybe, their previous time would have been deleted, but they would have simply, put a lap in again and did a lap. And would have done a lap that would have been better than their previous one, and they're still allowed to start in P9. That's what's going to be the case, and what I could do from my understanding from what we've been told. Well, every single driver, ladies and gentlemen, is going to start on the medium compound tire, apart from Killer. It could mean a lot of things, but look at those clouds, almost dark ones in there as well, so that could simply mean bit of raindrops we could see arrive within a couple of laps as well. That would mean the medium tire is going to last them for just enough time, and then they could pit on for the rain tires, which would be the intermediates to get on. The full wet tires are there, but nobody really uses them anywhere at all, so it's rather the intermediate tires, which pretty much every one of them is going to be planning to have, but only if it rains though, because if it doesn't rain, that's not going to be really mattering at all. It's going to be a two-strop strategy though, that's what I believe. Not sure what we got on that graphic. I don't think if we even got anything on that graphic at all. And there we go, last car approaching the grid, and we're more than ready to go racing here at Mexico City Grand Prix. It's going to be Tyrone on pole with Evil MP2 as Romero starts P9 indeed with his new time set, previous deleted. It's going to be 5 red lights, and we go racing here at Mexico. It's a decent start from Tyrone, but it's a brilliant start from Evil there as he's jumped Tyrone already into turn 1. We go, there's a long way run down to turn 1. It's almost going to be 3 or 4 wide wide into turn 1. It's going to be 3 wide with D's in there as well into turn 1. D's in the middle. Tyron round the outside. Evil's just going to hang it on there, but Tyron's going to be through and ahead of him. Or is he though? Because Evil's going to have the inside line into the exit of the second straight there. He's just going to be able to get that second place. Meanwhile, Ryan is in P4, Midu and his teammate Devin in P5 and 6. It is indeed a two-stop strategy with medium, medium, hard. If it stays dry right here, that is what we're going to be getting. Meanwhile, right here we see Romero's getting up a place in P8 with P9 to Ian. He might have lost a position there, and in fact, no, he's actually gained a position, +1 on his, while Brando has lost out a lot as he nearly makes contact with Connibel, who's still staying in P12, but through he goes, and ahead of Brando, Connibel makes a move and gets himself up ahead of everybody. Well, every single one of these drivers on the set of mediums, apart from Killer, who's decided to start on the set of hard, maybe on a different strategy, on different side of things to happen. Well, now the DRS will be enabled. It won't be drivers, won't be getting it just now, but on the second straight, on the second DRS straight, we'll have 3 DRS zone around here, but it's going to be very amazing to see what they're going to be getting, because 1 DRS zone around the main straight, second one is going to be right here on the exit of this little section. Well, the drivers will have rear wings open, while Evil will not have it open behind Tyron. So would Indeed actually behind Evil. He'll have that actually. I think now we passed that DRS straight, so maybe they do not have it, or I'm sure it doesn't have a single detection point, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it has a single detection point, because I remember this does have 2 detection points. Unless you have the same detection point, that would mean that's why, you know, most of the drivers did not have it. While Tyron still leads ahead of Michael in P2 with 1 second gap to each other, while Dees is 1 second down as well. Meanwhile, Ryan is only 4 tenths behind Dees, who is 5 tenths ahead of Midu. Let's see what are we going to be getting around the main straight now. The long, never-ending straight right here. Lap 3 out of 36. Very early in the race. Still, we might see drivers make moves. Ryan is going to be more than desperate to be making a move on D's. Does he go from the inside? No, he does not. Meanwhile, on the back, there could have been moves, and indeed, there has been a move from Oliver to get past Devin there in the Red Bull. The RP driver, as the Red Bull driver nearly hits the wall. It is the sugar-free Red Bull giving the sugar Red Bull a bit of a hard time to right here. Meanwhile, we're going to see Midu, I believe. Yep, Midu is in there. Midu is in this 3-car fight between Dees, Ryan, and Midu with his brilliance right here. Because it's going to be a 3-way fight now for P3, you know, podium place it is. While Dees is 2 seconds down to now Evil, who's 1.2 down on Tyron. Definitely this could be interesting in terms of strategy and stuff, while Midu is going to send it on the inside line, and he gets past Ryan. That might help Dees though, because Dees might slightly gain a little bit of time on these guys. Meanwhile, Oliver, Devin, Ian, everybody behind along with Romero is coming up as well, while Killer is in P10 with Connibel in P11. He's 6 tenths ahead of Brando there. Meanwhile, all of these drivers are in there with rear wings open on one or the other cars. Well, the Mercedes driver from Ryan does have the rear wing open. Will he send it? No, he does not. He knows that he did not want to. He didn't have to do that. I mean, we're only in lap 4 as well, so very early in this race so far. So that would make it very difficult. Meanwhile, we have no news yet from the stewards, so not much of an incident. I mean, we haven't really had any incident, have we? It was a pretty clean start, I'd say. That it's a long run down to turn 1. That definitely is beneficial, but the way these guys were almost 3 wide, 4 wide in the turn 1 could have been nasty though. So well done to all of them who did a brilliant job. Meanwhile, we're going to be on it. So, oh, that's going to be us, Oliver, in the wall. Meanwhile, we were calmly watching these drivers go through. It's going to be the very first safety car, and I'm unsure of what place is even this, and that is definitely in the S's, or just on the exit of the S's, and he's got it in the wall. Exactly what I was saying with the tire temperatures, and despite it being overcast and cooler conditions, he's lost it and put it in the wall. And we've got our very first safety car at the start of lap 5. Tyron has missed out pit entries, so has Evil. Meanwhile, Ryan, Midu, and everyone behind is going to come into the pit apart from the top two. Either they've decided not to pit, or simply the safety car only came out when they were, and if they are to not pit right now, they're going to lose a lot of track position, which is definitely going to be beneficial to Midu. Meanwhile, look at this now. What tires has everybody went for? So interesting. Still no hard tire for everybody. It's a mix of tires then from Midu. He's went for a set of mediums. That means he's going to need to pit once again in this race. Obviously, the hard tires probably won't be making it to the end, but even if they do, they'll need to pit again. Meanwhile, Ryan doesn't need to pit again. He's went on for a set of hards. So has D's, the two drivers in P4 and 5, while Ian then has went for a set of mediums, with Devon on the set of hards. Medium for Killer, medium for Romero, then hard for Brendo and Conabel. And especially my own personal experience, even around here. I actually did a recent career mode race recently around Mexico, but that was in sunny conditions though. That was not really in these cooler overcast conditions, because overcast, a lot depends on the track temperature and the way that you manage the tires, but still the weather depends as well. You know, if it's way too sunny and then the track is hot, it's going to burn your tires quite severely, and the medium tires get actually really not usable. It really gets annoying after a handful amount of laps on that. So the hard tire seems to be the best tire, especially around Mexico, because of temperatures. Because the hard tire, even if you have over 100 degrees Celsius on both front and rear tires, it still doesn't really give you much of it. Meanwhile, the top two have not decided to pit in this race, so that means maybe either they've missed out on it, or simply they've said we're going to have track position instead of going to make a pit stop. Then Tyron leads ahead of Evil in P2. Midu has got third place after the pit stops, with Ryan still in P4, with D's in P5, followed by Ian, Devon, Killer, Romero, and Brendo in the top 10. Just on one driver after that is Conabel, who's outside the points. Could well end up scoring points though, with only 11 drivers in there, while Special Movie just lost. So we're just going to be taking a pause for a bit, and as soon as we have drivers on going to go racing on there to ready and roar with green flags on, we should be going. I think the safety car might just come in at the end of this lap, because everybody the grid is bunched up, and as soon as the track is clear, it'll decide to go in. And the safety car is in, and we're ready to go racing. When's Tyron going to be going? All tires to Evil and Tyron all together, while on brand new mediums is Midu. Has he got a better start than Evil has though? Because in the turn one, it could be interesting between these two, because Midu might get past Evil there. Is Michael going to go defensive on the inside line? No, he stays where he is, and Evil won't be close enough to make that move. While the top three are still going to be close enough. Maybe these guys, just maybe, still stay closer to Tyron there, while now Ryan is behind these guys as well. Meanwhile, D's is slightly a little bit behind these guys, but all is on right here, while VDR Ian is in P6 with Devon in P7, followed by Killer in P8. Killer in P8. Then it is the D's for Ferrari of D's going a little bit wide, and they're going to make contact. And Ian is going to find himself facing the wrong way here at Mexico as they've made contact with D's refusing to get out of the way. That could be interesting to see what they're going to be doing, and we might or might not get on. Or what we're going to be getting. D's might go for it here, or in fact Midu that is, as he's currently in P3 and ahead of Ryan with D's now 8/10s behind. He's more than ever looking to get past Evil. He's more than ever looking to get past the McLaren driver. On the previous lap, you would have thought he's going to go for it. But right now, on newer medium compound tyres, the Red Bull is always going to be faster, despite no DRS as the safety car has just went in. But the Red Bull is going to be through. The Mercedes might be through as well. But Michael goes brilliantly defensive on the inside and keeps up his position. And now the question will be whether Midu tries to attack Tyron. Does he try to attack and go after the McLaren Mercedes driver, or he stays behind? Because, you know, only one win at Baku, I believe, if I could remember it correctly. It wasn't Tyron. Well, every single other race it has been Tyron who's managed to take victory, or actually, I don't know. I actually don't know results from the previous race, so apologies if I'm getting it wrong here, because I didn't get it wrong. I didn't get it to check of what we had. Meanwhile, you might have some incidents noted, and indeed, that is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, a 10-second time penalty for D's for the contact with Ian. Forced a spin, and that is interesting right here. Meanwhile, it's gonna be on. Now you know it is a 10-second time penalty with D's. I mean, with how it was, you would have expected, you know, he caused a spin, but then D's definitely, you know, he's just sending in there, refusing to back out. He's got a 10-second time penalty. Meanwhile, he's going to lose out to Devon as well. I mean, oh, the top drivers have pitted. And the top two who could not pit under the safety car, and that's going to allow Midu to take the lead of the race and brand new leader of this race, while D's is going to stick it on the inside line of Devon. Then nearly has to back out. Well, Killer has to back out there. Well, we're going to talk about tyres and penalties. So 3 seconds to D's already, and 10 seconds added to his race time would be over 10 seconds obviously added, and that'll mean 13 seconds to the penalty in total. That's gonna be very, very now pretty much, you know, risky to easily cut them out of the top 5. Meanwhile, we've got a lot to look at, and what we're going to be getting. Meanwhile, Tyron has been for the set of hards, and Evil has been for a set of mediums. Maybe Tyron could be going up for an attempt of a one-stop, while Conabel gets past Ian there, and he gets the overtake done. Meanwhile, we're going to go to the main straight and look at what we're going to have in front of our hands. It'll be the Brendo in the McLaren, trying to get past Killer into turn 1. They're not close enough, while D's was close enough to get past the Red Bull of Devon, and he does get past the Red Bull of Devon, and a move has been made. Well, Romero, interestingly, has decided to pit now. I believe he made a pit stop earlier as well. Well, Killer will get past Brendo. Killer runs a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Brendo to get past him in no time and without any problem at all. He is certainly going to be able to get past the Alpine without a problem to be facing at all. Meanwhile, we're 10 laps in this race, 10 laps in the race now right here. Well, Devon is within 3/10 of D's, and so is Ryan within 8/10 of Midu, and that is Oliver, I believe. He's out of the race from a long time, and he's decided to now exit out of the pit lane. Not the pit lane, but obviously out of the paddock, then out of the session. He leaves It's almost like getting a DNF and leaving the circuit. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, there's going to be somewhat action, and there, that action is the race lead that gets snatched by Midu. Midu might try and come back at him, but that's not going to be the case. He might have DRS now with that help, or rather that's going to be open on that Mercedes, and that means definitely indeed it would be single detection point. That's why after the first laps, or the first laps of the safety car, remember, there was no DRS. Meanwhile, Dees and Devon are going to be at it as well. Devon's going to have the inside line. Dees is now going to have the inside line. Nearly they make contact. He just keeps out of it. Just gives him enough space to get past, while the action is now starting to happen, and all of sorts of it is unfolding right here. Meanwhile, Tyron is currently in P8. That's because Ian and Romero decided to make another pit stop, I believe, which simply would be their second stop now on the set of hards, which would be interesting to know whether, you know, and I think they might have had to pit because of front wing damage or something more than a simple pit stop, because I don't think you could do laps to the end of this race from now, even on the hard tire, unless you're Tyron. You could do that with a lot of your pace and speed that you've got against everybody. Meanwhile, Evil now behind Connabel, and be looking to make, he's going to be making sure to get past Connabel really easily. Meanwhile, Midu is going to make sure he gets past the Mercedes. He's just unable to do that right now. We're into lap 12 out of 36. One half of this 36 laps is done. Meanwhile, we're going to be on. We're going to be in to get racing in. Ooh, that's going to be now time, as the Ferrari of Dees is still fighting with the Red Bull of Devon. Both of them run absolutely wide, and that might allow Dees to get past once more, because the Red Bull slightly giving up a space a little bit. Both of them are racing each other and fighting absolutely wild, while we were focused on the race lead. These two are eventually giving it their all as well. Sure, Dees has got a 10-second time penalty added to his race time, but that doesn't really slow him down at all. He's not going to be thinking about that, rather just doing and racing and some racing and enjoying all of that to have fun. And Dees is in. All right, only 7 laps on these hard tires. Interesting to see. So maybe that, you know, laps on these tires are not really good, or simply his tires were going to be out of it. So that's it then. Dees on a set of brand new mediums, and by the looks of it, if he's pitting now, you know, even if he does these laps, maybe we're going to have not 2 but 3 stops here because of an early pit stop from everybody. But, you know, considering now Tyron is already in P6, right behind Killer, and it's almost time for everybody else, those who pitted on behind the safety car, now time to pit. So this could be interesting right here. Tyron, even without the help of that driving open, he's going to try and get past the Alpine. He's not able to get past the Alpine there. He stays behind, stays quite patient, but he might not need to anymore. He's going to have the inside line. Meanwhile, Romero's out of it. Romero has been out of the session. He might retire, would have retired in the pit lane, I believe so, because his car is in the pits and he's out of the Grand Prix. He lost 2 drivers, and now this is the best situation for the likes who are at the bottom of the field so far. Obviously, Dees and Ian have pitted right now. For the likes of Connabel, Michael, and Killer, the bottom 3 were in this race, while Killer's Evil's going to get past Killer in this run so far. He's going to send it on the inside line, and look at that. Tyron, who is over in P5, just now is Evil in P6. He definitely has taken a little bit of time to get past Killer, and that might, you know, affect his overall result. I mean, still a lot remaining in this race, you know, now in lap 14 out of 36. You know, not a lot of gap, is not much of close gap between all of these drivers, while Dees is going to have a chance on Connabel. He's going to try and get past Connabel. Connabel's going to be around the outside. Dees is the inside line. Is he going to be able to get past? So the Ferrari driver runs so wide, and he's going to get himself another 3-second penalty. That's going to be 16 seconds of penalty time in total. That's a time it's going to hurt him a lot, and definitely his results, or his chances of a P4, P5 or P6, or even, you know, top finishing positions is going to be very difficult for him to do so far. Okay, then Killer's going to get out. Killer's going to get out of the way so far. Meanwhile, not a lot is now, happening in this race so far. We're 15 laps in out of 36. 15 out of 36. Ryan leads ahead of everyone with Midu in P2, followed by Devin in P3. It's a Red Bull 2-3. That's interesting to see. While Brando in P4 with Tyron and Brando in P5 and 6 so far. These two were the top two before the safety car and currently find themselves in P5 and 6, while D's in P7 and Connabel is in P8, followed by Ian and Killer, who's just bit it in P10 right now. Meanwhile, Romero is in P11 with Special in P12 so far. So, I mean, what is it going to be the case of what we want here, what we need right over in this race? I mean, at the moment, obviously, now we know it's a stabilization of a time. Pretty much everyone's gonna get on their own race, and we're almost gonna have a bit of a boring race right here, but maybe not, because it's the very beginning of it. 2 laps from now we're gonna be halfway through this race, so that's 18 laps, and by the time we're in lap 28, 29, and everybody is off their second stop or third stop, how many they want to stops they want to make. Meanwhile, Tyron is already ahead of one McLaren, is going to be making sure he gets past another McLaren right here as he's pulled up within 1 second of Brando, who's going to find it now very difficult to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Devin in the Red Bull has got past his teammate Midu in the other Red Bull, and it explains it. Him being on the hard compound tire, the medium, like 11 laps now on that medium tire, would have easily run that out of grip and will not allow. Meanwhile, Tyron still within 3/10 of the McLaren of Brando. How long is that going to be the case, that he stays ahead of him, or Tyron simply stays behind for a little bit and then gets past him in no time? And already, look at that, he's going to be getting exciting even before the DRS gets enabled and the rearing opens on that Mercedes. He's going to be side by side, and that extra speed is going to give him a boost that he needs. Tyron gets past Brando and overtakes him for 3rd place, which could potentially mean a race win. But it all depends on what Tyron's going to be doing strategy-wise and everyone around him, because especially, in a race like this, safety cars and everything and stuff, strategies matter a lot. Definitely the undercut around here is pretty strong, but still, pace does, obviously. I mean, if you're not going to have speed, it's not like you're gonna still be able to be faster if you get the correct strategy with someone who's got worse strategy. Sure, it by some extent means that, but obviously you need the speed, you need the pace, and then if you have a bunch of guys around you who are pretty much on equal speed and pace, then it all comes down to strategy and everything, which matters on whether they can do it or not. So far, 12 lap. I think on the hard tires they're going to go on at least till lap 15 or 16. I'd assume they do, because now, while we talk about the hard tire, Midu has came into the pits to make his 3rd pit stop, I believe. Alright, second pit stop. So now it's about whether he wants to go to the end of these tires, to the end of this race over 18 laps on these tires, which would be nice, which would not be an issue at all. I think it'll be fun for sure. Which will be to have fun, to let them enjoy. But it's about what position they want to get in, because, you know, Tyron now ahead of everybody, but, you know, with this one, at least you're going to expect, you know, Ryan, Devin, Brendo and Michael both ahead of him, along with Dees. In fact, no, Dees, and should be Dees coming into the pits as well, because he's on 5-lap old mediums. He did about 7 laps on the hard, so that would technically mean that he's going to find it very hard, while Tyron, who's definitely a couple of laps newer tires than Devin, is catching up to him in the next DRS zone. He might be able to get past him, but it all depends whether Tyron thinks he can get to the end of these end of this race on these tires, or he's going to come into the pits and change those ones. You know, change those, get into by simply getting past them. Obviously, that's how you do it. But now, one more time, the rear wing's going to be open on that Mercedes with battery full charge. The Red Bull driver is going to use that to their defense, but they know, Devin knows, Tyron's not their race. He's going to let him get past without an issue, without a problem. Is Devin going to come back at him? Maybe. Cheeky times, cheeky moves. But that's not going to be the case so far, as we're now finally past halfway distance in this race, while Ryan is in P1 and Tyron in P2. It's a Mercedes 1-2 right now, with Ryan only having made one stop so far, but it's a Mercedes 1-2 at least so far for time being, which, you know, in itself is at least going to be a nice one for team feet. You know, Mercedes already being a very strong team in the top, you know, in the top, obviously with the help of Tyron, but some other points from all the drivers around. So it would be all sorts of mix. What we're going to be getting in there. I mean, O'Connell gets a 10-second time penalty for crossing the pit exit line, I believe, on the exit of the pits, and that'll be a 10-second time penalty for them. Apologies about that. I mean, it might be getting a little bit quiet here in the comms box, but it might be getting a little quiet in the comms box, but, you know, pretty much simply on what we can do and what not. We're lap 20 out of 36 here around Mexico, 9/10, and within a second are these two drivers. Brand new tires for Ian, who's just fresh out of the pits, while, in fact, Evil is fresh out of pits and Ian is on 9-lap older tires, so we would definitely expect these guys to get closer to each other and have a fight, which we'll be looking after now, because 20 laps in this race, you know, pretty much 19 laps in, 20th is going on, 20 out of 36. It would now pretty much be all of what we are about, you know, we're about to get. And what exactly we're going to be getting? You know, Ryan is now into the pits. Well, as it stands, you know, Ryan is into the pits for a set of hard tires. And exactly, is that going to be their third stop? Or, okay, that's their second stop. And they might have nailed it here because, you know, sure, Tyron, even if he right now actually needs to pit again, he can pit again because the next car to them is Ryan, its own teammate, while it could be a lot of a gap, while Dees will get past Ryan, and he will be able to get past him, just able to. Dees has got a 10-second time penalty, 16 seconds almost. Yeah, again, and also, you know, what I was looking for and what I'm talking about in the context. Meanwhile, Evil's going to get past Ian on brand new hard tires. So exactly, you know, looking at stops and then also looking at, you know, things in this race. And let's say Dees, who's already made 2 stops, 8 laps on those mediums, and no way he's going to get to the end of this race on the end on these tires. So he's going to have to pit again. Well, Devin and Tyron in a perfect position. I mean, you know, over 16, 17 laps on those hard tires, and then they could come into the pits, while Ryan, who just gets past the the Ferrari of Dees already, as Dees nearly goes into the wall. He's almost going to save it there. He was right behind the Mercedes of Ryan there, but just about saves it in time to not cause an issue. And as I said, 8 lap on those mediums are going to be gone, while Dees is losing position. So yeah, what I was saying is now, you know, Ian, who's already made 2 stops, 10 laps on these hard tires, is going to have to do over 20 laps if he's to go to the end on these hard. So he's going to have to make 2 stops right here. While we talk about stops, Dees is already into the pits. Meanwhile, action will happen at the front of the field, and the action's going to be on because Brando now on brand new medium tires, hard tires, is going to be right behind the Red Bull of Devon. That's a brave decision from Devon to go on the set of medium tires. They're nearly going to make contact. They do make contact. Devon's going to just be able to get past Brando there and gets an overtake on him, while the race is a lot longer to go in this one so far. Meanwhile, we talk about penalties in this one. We're about to do that. Well, 13 seconds to tire there, Ryan. That's a huge penalties, while Dees and Connabel are having maybe a little fight, or Dees just gets past him. Dees has got 16 seconds with this addition of 10 seconds live stewarding penalty, with Connabel has got over 41 seconds in penalties, with Ian in 3 seconds. 6 seconds for Brando, 6 seconds for Devon. And has Tyrone been overtaken by his teammate? Yes, he has. I wonder if Tyrone, or in fact Tyrone just decided to pit, and with all that gap that Tyrone built, he ends up getting out in 2nd place. And by not pitting under the safety car, he's surely benefited. Maybe he will not, but Tyrone has surely done that, as he's now only 2.3 seconds behind his teammate, who's on 2 lap older hard compound tires, while Midu is 2 seconds behind now, but on 6 lap old hard tires. So definitely that tire deficit is going to be benefiting Tyrone, and is going to definitely come into his part and come into his benefit when it comes to the end of this race. And this is what I talk about, you know, strategies and everything. Well, sure, Evil still in P5. He's got his teammate ahead as well, but he's over 5.5 seconds behind him right now. So it's about, you know, it's about like speed and then the mind that you use for strategies and everything. So, you know, as they say, you can't win without a team. You can't also win without a proper planning. While Ryan and Tyrone head into lap 24 out of 36. There is not now much remaining, still over 12 laps. But anything could happen, though. I mean, a late safety car, maybe slightly somebody makes a mistake, just bunches up the whole grid, or even a red flag could bunch things up, which would be interesting to see. And collision between Brando and Davis has been noted. It would simply be Devon and Brando, I believe. So the incident has been noted. We're yet to find out if there's any penalty or what's going to be happening. But the contact between the 2 drivers has been noted. So don't be surprised if there's a penalty appearing for Devon or Brando moving forward, because it could be ruining one or the other driver's race. It's not even about ruining, it's about you made a mistake and now it's on you. And Tyrone is already on it right here, as he's about to get past his teammate. He's 8 tenths behind him. He might not go for it just right now, but we could see him go for it throughout this lap, or at the end of this lap again in the main straight next time by. And now look at this so far. Lap 25 out of 26. Tyrone 6/10 behind his teammate. Tyrone, remember, along with Michael, was the only driver. And look at this. This is exactly what I talked about. Another safety car, and that means it's going to slow our penalty down. While it's a 5-second penalty for Davey for initiating. Hopefully I'm reading that, pronouncing that right. Initiating contact with Brando and gaining a position, and that's pretty much why you know he's ahead of him. But he's got a penalty now, and a safety car has now came out at the very ending with just 10 laps to go in this race. It is Tyrone who was just about to take the lead. We know Ryan now comes into the pits. We're about to find out what everybody's going to do, but still there is more laps. Still there is not enough time for these drivers to go in and then come out on a set of soft compound tires, while Midu, who's on 8-lap old mediums, has simply decided to come into the pits, which is going to be an interesting feat. While Brando's going to still stay out. Midu's went for a soft tire, which could or could not be interesting, but that's a brave choice. I mean, still over 10 laps to go. I know, sure, when the safety car comes in, there won't be many laps remaining, and a couple of laps will go under the safety car, but still, no matter how much you try, a bit of air goes onto that soft tire, and it's really going to be damaging your race. Well, Ian's went for the same strategy as well, so you never know. I mean, they could prove us wrong, but we'll just find that out. So the safety car now might stay out for a little bit, as we're now going to be in for it. Tyrone leads ahead of Devin in P2, with Brando, Michael in P3 and 4, followed by Midu, Ryan on 16. Oh, Ryan might have went in to serve a penalty in there then. Yes, indeed. Ryan had over 13 seconds, I believe, so he would have went in to simply pay to serve that drive-through penalty, which he was avoided earlier, and not change those tires. 16 laps on those hards could be very difficult, while Ian now in P7 with a set of softs with Killer, and D's now on brand new set of soft tires with Killer on the set of hards, which is going to be on it then a bit of a moment to pause and reflect on everything for us and on drivers to look at, and we'll be ready to go and ready to roar once more when the safety car comes in. There we go. Safety car is still going to stay out, technically, for, you know, say the cars behind to catch up. So we'd assume it's going to come in next lap. So lap 29 restart, which would just see us about have 7 laps to the end of the Grand Prix right out there. But we're going to find out what we're about to get. Well, safety car still staying out, and maybe, just maybe, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference, but Devin might just get a better start if he can. He'll definitely have the opportunity, because that hard tire is going to be cold. It's going to be driving like driving on ice under that. And remember, Tyrone's got a 3-second time penalty. Sure, Devin's got over 11 seconds of penalties with his, you know, 6 seconds, and then 5 seconds driver that has a proper chance is all the way back. Either Midu or Evil. The two drivers are going to have a chance if they manage to get within 3 seconds of Tyron before the end of this race, or at the end of this race. But I think Tyron's still going to have enough speed and pace to catch up, and these guys are going to find it very difficult to even be closer to Tyron before the end of this Grand Prix. And there we go, the safety car should be coming in this lap, and it indeed is coming in. Tyron's got another chance to get a safety car restart for the second time in this race. We are alive to get a safety car restart. Tyron on the cold hard tyres. Same goes for Devin, same goes for Brendo as well, but Brendo might have had a better restart than in front, David in front, but we're about to find out what we're going to get right here, because a lot still remains in this one. Anyone can take one or position or two. There's going to be two wide into turn one. It's going to be Ian's going to send it on the inside line of Michael, and he gets past him, while Dees gets a 10-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flags. That's going to be over 20 seconds in their race time, with two 10-second time penalties, one for a contact earlier and another for ignoring the yellow flags. That's going to be a lot of it. While we're right here in this one, Ian's now going to get past the McLaren, another McLaren. He got past one McLaren, he's going to get past another McLaren. So he's surely flying on those soft compound tires, but with those that 3-second time penalty, it's going to be quite difficult for him to get that win. He needs to be ahead of Tyron to take that effect, but that could technically mean he is at least going to be able to get that podium, and that P3 maybe could be interesting to see, because Michael and Midu don't have a penalty, but then Devin in front has, so that means that P2 from Dave is going to be in a bit of trouble as well. Meanwhile, at the back of the field, it's going to be the Red Bull and a McLaren. It is Midu who's still going to be staying ahead of the McLarens, and he's managed to stay ahead of both the McLarens. We head into lap 30 out of 36, and racing is roaring. The cars are roaring on the track, and already, as I said, Tyron's pulled over 2 seconds on Devin, 2.3 seconds, and anyways, by the end of it, it would rather be that he's going to be staying ahead. And Dees is retired. Dees has retired, and I wonder if that's because of, getting those too many penalties, and he's simply decided to give up on it. He's retired in the middle of the track, but no safety car. That's going to be a fortune. I mean, it has just came in, but there's no safety car, as the car is not going to be in any dangerous position, as now only 8 drivers remain. So far, the drivers lost are Special, Romero, Conabel, and Dees. 2 Ferraris, 1 Haas, and Racing Bulls, who we've lost in this race so far, as Midu is going to be on it, and he's able to get past Ian, and he gets the overtake done. Now Midu, who's not got a penalty, could well possibly have a chance, if he's got the speed and pace, to try and get past his teammate Devin by the end of this lap, and he just might have a chance to push up and get closer to within 3 seconds of Tyron. That's going to be very difficult, but maybe, he just could maybe make that work. You know, Ryan and Brendo are going to send it there. Brendo's going to be right behind Ryan on slightly newer tires. Only 3 to 4 laps 3 laps pretty much is the deficit, but as it is, you know what's we're going to be getting right now. Meanwhile, Mido is now already he's past his teammate. As I said, he needs to get past his teammate now. It could be very difficult though. 5.1 seconds, 5 seconds to gap. Now he needs to push as hard as he can. He also needs to make sure that he does not get a penalty, because if he himself gets a penalty, that's going to be very difficult. Otherwise, he needs to make about 2.3 seconds on Tyrone right now. He's going to try and make sure to do that. He remember needs to be within 3 seconds of Tyrone, while now Michael is now going to be right behind the RB of Ian. Is he going to be able to get closer? No, he will not be. Certainly a lot, I think, with these guys within a second of each other because of this very late safety car. It is all going to be the time. It is all going to be the position that we'll be looking at. Meanwhile, positions are there, and we might see the Mercedes of Ryan to be able to get past. Oh, he's going to go into the back of the McLaren there. Not sure whether the McLaren driver brake checked him or he tried to not get hit by the RB ahead. And now it is going to be a bit of a problem. While the McLaren of Michael almost tried to avoid making contact with the RB, ended up making contact with Ryan, and Ryan's now got another 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Ian's going to go defensive on the inside line. Brilliantly done. And looking at the front, it's looking opposite. Instead of gaining, he's lost out of it, and Ian's lost out a lot of positions there. Maybe the soft air is now kicking in, because within the first few laps, because for a little bit even, it looked like Mido is going to gain a little time on Tyrone, but now, since it's coming out, getting less and less the grip, it's going to be very bad for him. And brilliantly done from Ryan as he gets past the McLaren of he does get past the McLaren of Michael. Maybe not, as Michael's going to try and come back at him, make his life very difficult, but he does well, does it nicely to get past and keep the position still ahead of the McLarens. These guys could be fighting each other, and definitely the fighting sprint is going to be until the end of the Grand Prix. We're in lap 33 out of 36, as 3 laps will now remain to the end of the Grand Prix. At the end of this lap, as the next lap starts, it's going to be 3 laps that'll have those will have to come to an end and get past now. It's going to be on. There might be a chance for Ryan to get past Devon as well, and he will get past Devon. Oh, they're going to make contact. They're going to make contact as they've lost out. Not sure they both lost it on their own or they made contact. I'm sure they would have made a bit of contact, slight bit of it, as Devon's lost out a lot of time, while Ryan slightly lost out of it on it, and now Michael has managed to stay ahead and get ahead of him, while the penalties are way too much, which would be crazy to look at. While Ian is now going to try and get past Brendo. He does get past Brendo, while Brian at the front of the field, he's going to try and get past Stevel. Will he be able to get past him though? Because Michael's going to be on it. He's going to try and defend. He's back to the top 3. He's going to make sure. And now Devon's retired. Devon, ladies and gentlemen, has retired out of the Grand Prix. Not sure whether he retired on his own or while trying to fight Killer. And only 7 drivers now remain in this Grand Prix, with what started off being a 12-driver race ends up being a 7-driver race so far. Meanwhile, it's all about and about. So Devon is a new addition of the DNFs here in this race. 12 laps on those mediums. He definitely wouldn't have had the grip, as now Ian's lost it. Ian has lost it as well. This is not really good at all. It would have been a brilliant chance for the RB driver, despite having 6 seconds in time penalties. It's not a lot, considering only Killer, Evil, and Tyrone are the drivers who have 3 seconds, while everybody else has a lot more. Still a P7 though, if you do not retire. I think if somebody, you know, is in his shoes, he's going to stay there. I mean, Ryan is going to be back at it, and he's going to get past Michael to get himself a third place right there. But, you know, that 3 seconds to Michael is going to be his advantage because he's going to be able to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Midu is now within a second of these guys as well, with lap and a half to go, as half a lap of this one and the final lap remaining could be interesting, as Tyron now gets 6 seconds in penalties, but those soft tires on Midu's cars are not going to be the best of them at all. He could have been better switching to the medium tire, but he didn't decide to do so, and definitely this is where it was going to get very difficult. With him having no penalty, it would be pretty much his advantage, I'd say, because that's going to be not allowing others to pull away, at least within this time, within you know, the remaining lap, as Tyron gets the final and the fastest lap of the Grand Prix before getting into the final lap of this race. While we are on it, and we are into it, as it is going to be indeed. Looking at this so far. Meanwhile, Ryan is in P3. He's going to try and get the move done. He's going to try and get past him and get into P2. Can he get it? Yes, he can. It is out and about. A Mercedes 1-2 on track. But remember, penalties are there to be avoided. Penalties are there to be counted. Meanwhile, I believe nobody is in this race. Well, who got an external penalty from us steward? It was Dees who got it. He's out of it. It was Romero. I'm not sure if he got it in the race, but he got it in qualifying. He's out of it. It was Davey who got it. He's out of it as well. Meanwhile, Michael could get that place from Midu on the track, but that's not going to matter at all. Meanwhile, it is one and only one man. That is Tyron. If you've seen him take victory every other race, and he does it again at the Mexico City Grand Prix as he wins here in Mexico. Tyron takes the first position after he started in first position. Meanwhile, Ryan, his teammate, is going to be coming up right behind to make it a Mercedes 1-2 on track, but with penalties applied, it is going to be an easy position switch, with Midu taking P2 and Michael taking P3, with Ryan falling short in P4, with Brando, who's got P5, and now it is Killer who's going to get P6, I believe so, because he's got penalties, but then it is Ian who's far behind these guys on the track. So that's going to be a top 6, with Ian going to be now on it as well. So that is absolutely, you know, amazing. I think with that live stewarding, I think penalties applied, maybe a bit of a frustration from these drivers, but I think they're doing an exceptional job to get this on. While lap 36 out of 36, driver 7 out of 7 is going to go in and take the checkered flag. And once again, congratulations to our podium finishers. It was 2 different cars, Mercedes of Tyron, Red Bull of Midu, and the McLaren of Michael. All 3 driven brilliantly. Everyone else did an exceptional job as well, but because of those penalties and no penalties, it all turned out to be the case, and absolutely well done. Fantastic job then, ladies and gentlemen. This is all going to be up for you. I gotta be somewhere in a hurry, so we're going to come to an end of this stream. This was myself, Zabe, and from all of us here at New Age, it's going to be a bye-bye, adios, and take care.